Hey guys, we're going to take a look at War Thunder. Game I've been thinking about for years and just never gave it a chance. I happened to put a couple new hard drives in my computer and had a bunch of space, and it showed up on my Steam library. Thought I'd give it a try. Coming from World of Tanks, first thing you're going to notice is the driving mechanics in this game are just terrible. They might be realistic, but they're just terrible compared to World of Tanks, if that's what you're used to. And you can see in this first part here just how miserable it is to control this stupid tank in comparison to what I'm used to. One thing here, tanks get concealed pretty easily, and they don't highlight like they do in World of Tanks either. You also have a couple other mechanics in this game where you can control artillery fire, bring in aircraft support, and you can actually pilot the aircraft, including bombers. But I've only played this game for a couple days now, and the tank part, having the experience of tanking, I think helps, and it also hurts. There's a few real mechanics in this game that are radically different than World of Tanks. And like I said, the driving is number one. The guns don't handle quite the same. Your rounds matter a lot more, and you don't start off being able to use all the ammo. You have to get experience points or whatever they're called in this game and unlock them. So here I am up against a tank. And you can see it. I tried to use the artillery against it. Didn't really do anything because he knew it was coming, but it created a bunch of smoke, making it harder to hit. Now, I've been damaged. Can't move. There's no regular repair kits. You have to hold this F to start repair, and it can get reset, and it's just a crazy mechanic that I'm not used to at all. Some of these tanks, like the one that opponent player is in, is like really overpowered against most of the tanks it faces at this level. It's got good armor and an incredible gun. Realistic? Probably. It's tough to counter at this gameplay. This is another interesting thing, showing you how your vehicle was damaged. Now I'm in a tank destroyer. This is the same match. You can respawn several times. I think it varies depending on some of your skill levels and permissions of this thing. Do you notice here that the tanks don't highlight? You can see it's really weird that their little flare will show and then it'll disappear. This gun handling on this tank destroyer is absolute garbage. The penetration's garbage. So I do have a better armor piercing round, which I should have switched to earlier and I didn't. You can see the little icon for a bomb coming in. Somebody's dropping bombs. Bombs are highly effective if they land on the target, but it'll take them out. Artillery can take the tanks out as well. I'd probably take this tank out. So one of the key things is if you kill all the crew members, you destroy the tank, or you can physically damage enough parts on it that destroys the tank. But it's slightly tricky, and you'll start seeing here, okay? This absorbed by the tracks. Didn't do anything. I'm in number 2 now. I'm doing some damage to the crew, but you can see I'm working around to different areas because I'm really trying to kill all the crew members on this tank, which I finally got the last guy there. Just because that's kind of what you need to do. It's not, there's not a damage cap or a health pool in this game. It's actual damage to modules or the crew members. And for some of these things, it's easier to try to target the crew than to do a bunch of damage to the tank. So here's the repair thing. I'm finally, trying to get it to work. It's like 30 seconds or more to get it to go. Now, one thing about this game is, at least on these early levels, it's full of bots. And that's just to fill out the roster. So there might only be 2 real players on each side. Maybe there's more. It varies from match to match. And you can see at the top of the screen, the blue represents your team and the red is the enemy. And so we are losing significantly at this point. I mean, we shouldn't win this match. Now, this is weird. Look how close I am to this tank. Now it shows up as a bad guy. And for whatever reason, it was a glitch. So you can see here, hit it, did some damage. We got the kill. Right here, there's another one. He doesn't show up till red till it's right there. Now, I'm not sure who killed him, if it was me or if it was my teammate or what on that. But it's dead. And we're still losing significantly here. This is one of the worst driving vehicles I've ever driven. The turret turns so slow. You can see the circle, that's kind of where you're pointing your vision. The crosshair is actually where the gun is. The one thing that's cool about this game is you get to use your machine gun. The bad part is the space bar. And so if you're used to having your space bar for like stop and shoot, or quick braking, you're going to be shooting stuff instead, which I did right there. More bombs coming in. So there's splash damage and radius from those, so I try to stay clear if I can. And like I said, this thing is pretty garbage. Aircraft coming in can do a lot of damage to you. They could easily take you out. And like I said, they're piloted by other players. I don't have that thing here. Well, there it is. Number 7 popped up. If I hit number 7, I would get into a plane and start, fighting. Which is kind of neat, but I always forget to do it. I usually prefer to play the tanks when I'm doing the tank mode. The coolest thing about this game is that you have tanks, you have aircraft, and you have ships now, which all play from the same account. There we go, another guy again. This gun isn't lining up. It's a hit, but it did nothing. I don't know what happened there. Here it comes again. And I am sitting here because it's so hard to turn this turret that I can't take a quick shot. The tank turns faster than the turret. But it's just, aiming is a mess. You pretty much have to be stationary waiting for somebody. I try to go up here to outflank him, but it's a long ways around and I don't want to go that way. At least that's what it appears from here. So I decide to go back around the other way. And thinking he's right there in the corner, you can notice on the mini-map, the little red icons are the enemy. And I think they have to be spotted, but you don't get an indication for spotting somebody. They just kind of appear. So this guy that I was originally going after looks like he's gone, or maybe he went around the corner. Comes a bomb in there. And notice how the red has disappeared. We've really turned this match around quickly here. And this is where things are annoying. Okay, right on a tank, point blank range. Hit takes out part of the crew. Another hit takes out the engine. But I basically can't kill this tank. These are penetrating shots. It's just not taking it out. And I don't know if I could possibly kill the tank from here. But we won. Now, the aircraft mode. This is the air arcade mode. So this is you need to destroy ground targets and enemy aircraft. I have a bomber, dive bomber, and I'm getting attacked, so I'm trying to get rid of my bombs and hopefully do something. I only managed to hit one target there, which is pretty pathetic. So now we're going to try to do a little gun run on some other things. One thing that's cool about this dive bomber is you've got a gunner in the back that will shoot at the aircraft behind you. And you can actually shoot down other planes while you're still flying and trying to do something. Hitting these things and killing them is very difficult. They're basically dug-in artillery and anti-aircraft guns and everything. They're extremely hard to hit. Now I got bombs loaded again. I really want to get to where I can drop them, but it's not going to happen. I get shot down. Biplanes. So this one's another one you respawn 3 times. Air crashes happen. So I just spawned into this plane, was getting attacked, and, crashed. Now I'm in actual fighting. And this plane is actually one of the better ones for air combat early on. Biplanes are actually really good. You see how they're a lot slower and they can turn sharper because of it. So it's very easy for them to get behind a plane like this. They're slower though. So if you've got enough speed, you can burn away from them. But it's very easy for them to get behind you and shoot you down real quick. And it's hard to turn these bigger planes fast enough to get back around down them. Now this guy here, you can see the skull next to a name. That's the player that killed you last. And so with this, the way it's set up is you can go after the guy that killed you. Generally when you're shooting, it'll give you a little lead indicator, and you want to aim for that. You want your crosshairs and your eye circle there to line up for your guns to be really on target. Easier said than done. One of the problems with this is your guns run out of ammo, and the guns also jam. So if you're not careful, you'll run out of ammo at the wrong time, which always happens to me. So right when you're in the place for the kill, okay, I just got the guy that had killed me. Going after another one. Another guy down. And this is, I think, only like the second plane in its tree. The first planes I had a lot of trouble doing air-to-air combat with. They just didn't maneuver well enough. But this one, I don't even know what the heck it's called. Handles a lot better. And I think the guns are better as well. Here's the guy that killed me again, that I killed just a minute ago. Going back. See how little moves make it very difficult to hit an enemy target with your guns. So that's some decent flying. And I'm not going to get him. Come back around to this other guy. And on the arcade mode, you usually can't break your plane. But from what I understand, the realistic modes, if you turn too sharp and overload parts of the plane, they will snap off, your tail or wing or something. And you can just die that way. So this match is pretty much won. I think we just need to do a little more damage or kill one other thing, and it's over. And there, it's finished. And so, not bad. First person on the team. I was really disappointed that the ground kills I got, but I managed to shoot down 7 planes, which for me is pretty decent. Now going into the ships portion, which I guess is fairly new to War Thunder. This one is fun, but it's a little difficult. For some reason, on this boat, my guns don't work half the time. It's a torpedo boat, and you have to... The green line shows you where the torpedoes are going to go. It's a little bit difficult to aim. Most people launch their torpedoes from miles away, and they never do anything. What works the best is saving them until you get close to a larger craft and taking it out. But that doesn't always work, especially early on at these lower tiers. A lot of the ships that you are facing against are actually smaller than the PT boats. So the object here is to capture strategic points. There's 3 points, A, B, and C. I just captured this first one here. And then you, in addition to that, basically deplete the enemy's resources. So to sink a ship, you pretty much have to blacken out all the sections of it. So here my guns aren't working for some reason. Now they're coming back, and I get torpedoed. Now I'm in a slightly different type of gunboat. The machine gun mechanics on this are really weird from a long distance. You can see all the rounds landing way behind that ship. I'm taking hit. Oh, that was an aircraft coming in. Another one, your back gunner will shoot at the enemy. Apparently you can control, you can target for them for what they shoot at. Apparently they can waste a lot of ammo. I haven't messed with that too much. But you can control other weapons on each of these ships. You can see the green highlights on the ship icon. That shows you which weapon system you're currently in control of. And so I've got the main guns on this. This has 3 guns, so it's pretty good. But I don't know what's going on there. That's really weird. If it's a reload, if it's the angle of the guns, but it does some funky stuff. And so, like I said, you have to get these different compartments blacked out, knocked out in order to do it. Broadside shots are obviously the best for wrecking somebody. But it takes a fair amount of hits to take out some of these ships. And so aircraft, yeah, I don't know who. Okay, I'm in a torpedo boat again after that one sank. Occasionally, you can get your torpedoes to go in between some like islands like this as a whole wave of the enemy ships are approaching. You have a fair chance of hitting somebody. It at least forces them to maneuver if they're going after your team. You can shoot down aircraft. With some ships, it's easier than others. And like I said, your back gunner will fire for you. And you do have to watch for torpedoes, like I said. They have they have a basically a fuse, a timer on it that will go off in your proximity, so they can damage you even if they don't directly hit you. Now here is another thing. You do have the artillery strikes in this game as well. The number 5. It's one of the things I haven't had a ton of luck with it until you get close to people. But the guns are they're decent. There's a lot of stuff I don't really know what any of the stuff does. But overall, it's a fun game, and I do. I'm glad I picked it up, and I think it's worth trying. I think anybody that's kind of interested in tanks, planes, or ships would find it enjoyable. It's free to play. The other thing with the ship thing is you get to get into an aircraft as well. So that's pretty much it for this. I think it's a fun game, and I recommend it. So see you next time.